And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Before we get to Tom Munns, let's get to Max in Garden City. Good morning, Max.
Good morning. Just what we need, another law, another rule, another regulation. If a person's driving too slow in the fast lane, isn't there already an obstructing traffic thing they can nail them on?
Yep.
Then we don't need another law. Now, I live very close to State Street, and a friend of mine in the Garden City PD said that from Glenwood to Home Depot, he said they call it Crash Alley.
On State Street.
All the time. I see cement mixers doing 60. I mean, let's get real. If they want to control a lot of it, regulate the speed limits that you have to suit the surrounding area. Coming off of Bogart, it's still 50. If you were to take that down to 40, and when you get closer to Walmart, take it down to 30. And here's something. Put a cop out there and set up a good old-fashioned speed trap. You bust enough people for distracted driving, fast driving. You bust enough of them. People aren't stupid. As it comes out of our pocket through our insurance premiums and our tickets and our fines, it'll work. It'll fix things. People aren't stupid. They've only got so much money to pay before they're calling the general for their insurance.
What is that? Don't be on time. The general's on something like that.
Yeah, somebody say, pay a lot of money because nobody else will touch you. Come on down to the general.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw outside of the Ada County Sheriff's Office between I don't know, that place the place I'll just say Linder, but that place where they shot Bronco Billy and Eagle Road. I mean, they have folks there. They have them in Star, but from Eagle Road on in, I haven't. I'm trying to think the last time I saw a police officer doing a speed trap. And look, we're not going after the police officers, but it's crazy.
Oh no, they're awesome. They're doing their job.
Right. It's crazy that we're going after the slow drivers. Right.
I can tell you that at least 3 times a week, and this is not an exaggeration, at least 3 times a week within 2 blocks of where I live, right there on State Street, they're working an accident or a ticket, usually an accident. Got an ambulance parked outside of my house here yesterday. I live in the Shenandoah Estates, old people neighborhood. And we have this big white barrier fence. And just the other side, motorcycle cars, trucks, there are accidents all the time. And that's because I've seen twin tandems doing 50 and 60, whipping on by the road. I don't care how good a driver you are. If something happens, you can't react with a truck full of cement at that speed. It can't be done. It's called, oh, by the way, in deference to your call screener, that kid's feisty. You need to interview him. You really do. You need to interview him on your show. I guess I'm gone, right?
Okay. Any more suggestions?
Yeah, just interview your screener. The kid's got a lot to say, and he gave me an earful. I'm not blaming him. He's a good guy. He gave me a good earful this morning. Put him on the show. I think he'd be great for you.
The feisty kid.
Yeah, what about that young man on the radio there who says, hi, KIDO. Hey, Max, how you doing? I say, I think it's speed. He's, I get a great lecture.
You know what we're calling this right now? Tune out.
Oh, what?
Thank you for the call, Max. Tom Munns, hang on. We're going to get to you in a minute. Doug in Mountain Home, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, that call, it was yesterday. I listened to you guys from this morning, 5:30. The guy from Pennsylvania that always calls in from college about the church failing, he is so correct, Kevin, and I'm part of it. I really like when he said, yeah, chief sinner, that's what he is, because that's what I am. Because I know at times you can hear in my voice the hate that I have for some people that are working in D.C. But what I'm getting at, Kevin, you read a lot, because I do.
I do. I don't read enough, but yes, I try to keep up with that, Doug.
Okay, Kevin, get a book. You can buy it at the Christian store. I just bought one and gave it away. I gave both of them away, and I've read it twice. It's by David Pratt, called The Insanity of God. It is one of the best books I've read about our church, how we have failed Christ in this country, Kevin. And another one you can find online. I've read it twice, and there's a lot of them, and I am probably not wording it right, but have you ever heard of John G. Lake? He was a minister here in the 20s, had a healing ministry in Spokane, Washington, Kevin, and he went over to South Africa in the 20s, and he did exactly what that man was saying on your show. He went there. He had the Holy Spirit of God so heavy upon him, Kevin. It was amazing. And he went to the political part of that, and they found Christ in their life. The Holy Spirit went through that country, through the politics in the upper echelons, and they fixed that country back then. Now, where it fell apart again, I don't know. But this was in the 20s. But the insanity of God and the one about John G. Lake, you can look it up in Kevin Copeland's ministry. That's where my brother-in-law bought it for me. The man, his sermons, and something else, but it is worth reading, Kevin. And this country has failed Christ in our churches, and I'm as guilty as anybody, period. All right? God bless you. God bless our president in this country, and I hope Jeff Sessions does do justice to our president. And that's all I'm going to say, Kevin.
All right, Doug. God bless. We appreciate it. All right, Tom Munns, you're going to get a ton of time here, so hang on. Joining us now from the Caldwell Police Department is Corporal Ryan Bendewald. Corporal Bendewald, thank you for joining us.
Hey, how are you doing this morning?
Good. You're on with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. You've got an event that you'd like the public to know about this morning, sir?
Yes, that's right. So this morning at Starbucks here in Caldwell, we're putting together an event called Coffee with a Cop. And basically what that is it's going to give the public time to come out and speak with the police department. And it allows us, Kevin, to do a couple of things. And the most important is get with the community on a different level. A lot of times we're dispatched to some calls, and we only get to meet members of the community when they are in need of help. This event allows us to sit down over a cup of coffee and talk to the members of the community about whatever they choose to talk about. So,
well, they might talk about your song selection in that lip sync challenge.
They might. You know, that thing's kind of taken off, and it was a lot of fun. I've been asked about it several times, and it was a really cool thing. You know, it took, like I said before, 2 days to record that. It's got some national attention, and it was just a lot of fun putting that together. You know, the whole group of us, you know, decided that we wanted to do it the right way, and kind of just go big or go home with it. And it was a lot of fun. So it's always nice to do something fun like that, you know?
Well, and that really plays into the community policing, which, you know, we're urging folks to stop by the Starbucks today beginning at 8 to meet their police officers in Caldwell and throughout the surrounding areas. People don't understand that is probably some of the most great community policing you can do is doing that lip sync challenge.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It was something that, you know, we could reach out and really show a different side of us, a different side of the department. One of the main things that our police chief, Frank Wine, has pushed is community policing and getting out and getting involved more with our community and just being involved more and letting people know how transparent we are and, you know, kind of this is us kind of thing, and really just push that community policing.
Indeed. So today, 8 to 10 at Starbucks in Caldwell, people can come by and just meet the crew.
Meet the crew and hang out and, you know, bring your questions or concerns with you or just sit down and and enjoy a cup of coffee. But yeah, there'll be a bunch of us out there, and a couple new Tahoes that we got in, and so just come on out.
What's it like being on the other side, being a police officer in this day and age, sir?
Well, I have a lot of passion for the job. I'm involved with a lot with the police department. Being the supervisor, I'm also a field training officer. So I get the opportunity to be a part of teaching the new guys once they come on board during their process. And I'm also a member of our SWAT team. And so I would say it's difficult, Kevin, but I would also say that it's very rewarding, and it's got its perks for sure. It's something that I'm passionate about to be able to serve the community in a variety of different ways. But it does come with a lot of responsibility and a lot of time. I mean, you think about the time that we put into our training and we put into being at work 12 plus hours per shift, and the time that we're expected to go to court or to put on these events, and it really becomes a lifestyle, and it's something that I enjoy, but I also do think it takes a certain kind of individual to be able to do it and to do it the right way.
Corporal Ryan Bendewald joining us, Caldwell Police Department. Finally, there's been some published reports about communities like Caldwell and Nampa and Meridian and Boise and others, the strain it's been putting on local departments because of all the people moving in.
Yeah, we're seeing it here too. There's been our population is growing for sure, and it's a good thing because we want people to come to Caldwell, and we want to experience that growth and get these new restaurants and stores to come to our community. But it also too that comes with a staffing issue. So we're seeing that, we're definitely feeling that, but I also know that our city's going to step up and help us staff newer officers and get us to where we can be able to efficiently cover the population that we're seeing. But we definitely are seeing a growth. And obviously, too, with that growth, Kevin, comes, crime. So we do our best, and, just like Nampa and Meridian, we do our best to kind of keep that bad stuff at bay and really just kind of try to enjoy this growth. Because there's a lot of positive things that come with it, too.
Indeed, sir. We appreciate it. One more time, if people are in and around Caldwell, they can stop by the Starbucks this morning beginning from 8 to 10.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll be down there. So, come on out and enjoy it.
Well, Corporal Bendewald, we appreciate you. We would love to have you on again, and thank you for thinking of us and making yourself available at the Starbucks in Caldwell this morning from 8 to 10, sir.
Hey, anytime. Thank you very much, and have a good day, my friend.
You too. And by the way, this goes without saying, thank you very much for your commitment to safety and for everybody in law enforcement and the first responders, sir.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Happy to do it.
Okay. Take care.
Have a good day, Kevin. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. I bet you thought I'd never get to you.
I wondered about that.
Well, since this is going to be an extra long segment, I'm going to ask you to stand by, because there are a lot of people that when we have you on or you're not on, and we all know this is our friend Tom Munns, TomMunns.com at on KIDO Talk Radio. When we do that, some people even call in and they want to cede their time to you. So you're not just an ordinary contributor is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind.
Now be careful when the press butters you up. Here comes the ask.
Okay. Go ahead.
I know you're ready to talk about the Convention of States, and I want to give you as much time as possible. I'm asking you if you can hang on, and we'll have you coming up next, and we'll put you in as part of the tease.
No, that's fine. It's too bad that you ended up talking about my favorite other topic too on the same day. So
I thought of you. Yes. You have a lot to say.
I got a whole segment on that too. But yeah, I can wait if you want. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Coming up next, Tom Munns on the Convention of States. Tom Munns on law enforcement. Tom Munns, Kevin Miller. Tom Muns is getting top billing. Well, he did wait a long time. I'm having a conversation with myself. Must be the frisky guy. You're listening, the frisky kid. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Out to Tanya J. Powers, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, a Northwest story, thankfully, today.
Yes. You get one from the Northwest.
We're so underrepresented when it comes to the East Coast media elite that you're a part of.
Well, I think there's a problem with the line. I'm pretty sure you just called me the East Coast media elite.
Oh, hashtag fake news then.
Yeah.
On my part, not you.
Maybe a little bit.
So it's interesting. You have ICE saying the mayor of Portland isn't helping, looking to abolish ICE because of a rally. The mayor of Portland says, not so fast, my friend.
Yeah, the ICE folks are unhappy with the mayor because the mayor, there's these protesters, of course, the Abolish ICE protesters there in Portland. And he told them, about a week ago during a press conference, he said, I urge you to keep up your effort to the demonstrators. He said to all demonstrators, I urge you to keep up this effort. That was his quote. And he, has drawn the ire of the ICE people now because one of the things that he also had done was to tell the police to stand down. And the ICE enforcement agents and stuff have sent him a letter and said they want, this is cease and desist letter. They want him to, stop telling the police that. They say he actively encouraged the protesters in their cause and created a zone of terror and lawlessness. They said that, he gave the order that police would not support the ICE employees that were inside the facility there in Portland when the protesters surrounded the facility. And that's what they have a problem with. They say that the police, weren't there or didn't protect them because they had been told not to. Now they want an apology from the mayor.
Well, if that is true, that would be the first incident of its kind where the mayor is telling the police to stand down supporting federal law enforcement.
Yeah, it's obviously a pretty touchy subject. I mean, the mayor did tell them during that press conference last week that the protesters that were sort of doing this Occupy kind of thing, that they had some sort of wooden structure that they had to get rid of that. They couldn't do that. They couldn't go that far. But as far as, their First Amendment rights to peacefully protest, that they were going to protect those. And that's one of the reasons he said to the demonstrators, I urge you to keep up the effort.
Yeah, you wonder if the First Amendment applies to people that are not here legally.
I don't know where the protesters are from.
No, that's just a philosophical question, whether or not the constitutional rights, and that's been debated back and forth throughout the country and probably will be for quite some time.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely one of those things we hear a lot about. Now, whether the mayor is actually going to, write up a letter and say, oh, I'm sorry, guys, that's an entirely different subject.
Yeah, I don't know if, you could just simply write a letter and say, I'm sorry, when, you've got federal law enforcement officers, trying to do their job. And, it goes, it makes you go back to what we read about in school about the civil rights movement and when you had state governments not complying with federal law. At least initially it seems that to be the way in this case, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this, especially if these protesters and all the demonstrations keep going. And, right now there's, I guess, no sign of them getting tired and going home. Indeed.
And from what I understand, Portland makes Seattle seem normal, and that's quite a leap.
I've never been to Portland. I've been to Seattle, but no idea if how you compare the two. You would know more about that. That's your.
I stay in Idaho, and I stay in Ada County and Canyon County, and very rarely do I venture out. Sometimes
go see the place. Come on.
Sometimes I get a chance to go back east of the Great River, and then I'm quickly drawn back to home here. So you people are tough out there.
We're tough.
Abrasive, coarse.
Bless your heart, Kevin.
You have a great day, Tanya J. Powers.
You too.
All right. Tiny J. Powers joining us, 580-5436-580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Let's get to the situation regarding what's going on in Portland. Mayor Wheeler fires back after ICE and their union allege he violated the Constitution. Let's get the very latest. Thank you, Tiny J. Powers, for that insight. Let's get a report from KGW8 in Portland. You're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
At the ICE building here, at least one ICE worker called Portland police for help multiple times and said police did not show up. It's why lawyer Sean Riddell is now threatening to sue.
I understand Mr. Wheeler disagrees with the President of the United States. And I understand that disagreement may have a lot of merits, but he doesn't get to take it out on the citizens and people who work for ICE.
Riddell represents the union that covers the ICE workers. He said one time the employee was trapped in their car by protesters. Officers did not come to help, but instead met the employee several blocks away to take a report.
If another employee calls, if another ICE agent calls and doesn't get the services that the government is obligated to provide, then we may be forced to federal litigation.
He said his clients were not interested in appearing on TV. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is out of town today, but he's made it clear he disagrees with ICE and especially their tactics of separating families. He said city police would not get involved in protecting the federal ICE facility from...
Let me stop this here for a minute. Thank you very much. That's what happens, folks, a little inside when you have one audio source. So at 580-5436-580-KIDO, we're not talking about San Francisco. We're not talking about Seattle. We're not talking about Boise, Idaho, or Caldwell, Idaho, or anywhere else in Idaho. We're talking about Portland. There are a lot of people that have moved here from Portland. You know, PDX, Portlandia. Hey, we're weird. Good for you. It's America. Whatever. Probably a lot of libs, a lot of progressives think that this is okay. But this is unfortunately a symptom of the Obama administration. Obama decided that when he was president, he was not going to enforce federal laws that he disagreed with, most notably the dope smoking law. That's what allowed states to break federal law, like Oregon, like California, and Colorado, and Washington, that surround us, and continue to break federal law by selling the dope, marijuana. So now you have this Mayor Wheeler, and I haven't been to Portland, I've driven through Portland, who decides he's not going to, his cops, his police officers, stand down. We're not going to support the feds. So here you have the feds, the ICE agents, trying to protect America, surrounded by these ill-washed, ill-begotten, much needed of a flea dip and a haircut protesters that have surrounded the building. And they've got these wooden structures all over the place. And what does the mayor of Portland, Oregon say? Well, I disagree with their policy on separating families. So that makes it right for you to tell the police to stand down. You want to play that game, one call to the president, and we'll bring in the troops. Now, you're saying, Kevin, that's a little heavy-handed. No, I don't think so. Here you have people that are being surrounded, harassed, and the police are told, do not interfere. Do not help people that are doing the law. This is mob rule. This is chaos. Maybe that's how it goes in Portland. Maybe there are indeed people that are good that have moved here from Portland, Oregon, because they were tired of the mob rule and the lawlessness and people using the sidewalks for toilets. But this is utterly ridiculous that because of the press, and now they're mad because Trump is fighting back, the people are fighting back, they're tired of the lies, they're tired of everything else, fighting back against the fake news, fighting back against the phony journalists, fighting back against the lies. He's going to say, well, because ICE separates families, I'm telling the cops to back off. It is absurd. I mean, these people are doing their job, protecting Americans, right? 580-5436-580-KIDO. This should not be tolerated.
That city police would not get involved in protecting the federal ICE facility from protesters. Riddell, the lawyer, argues that violates the 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection under the law.
I think it's a tough case to make that he's violating the 14th Amendment.
Lewis and Clark professor Tung Yin says the courts frown on withholding government services based on race or gender, but are pretty open to other arguments. On the streets of Portland, I found a range of thoughts on the issue. Some felt police should respond.
We'll get to that in a minute. Let's get to your phone calls. Dan in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, about 3 weeks ago, my wife and I went to Portland. We have an oldest daughter that lives on the south waterfront in Boise off the Willamette River. Anyway, when we pull in there, sometimes it's kind of, a little tricky to get to her place, so I use the GPS. And we got close to there, and we called her. And she says, well, you may have to detour because of the protest. And I said, protest? And she says, yeah, she says, when you come down to my place, apparently the ICE headquarters is right by her place. It's about a block and a half from the apartment complex that she lives in. And and so when we pulled down there, you could see the cop cars, you could see the protesters and everything, and we had to detour a couple blocks around. It wasn't a big thing, but anyway, they literally had this whole area where there's businesses blocked off. And my daughter lives on the 15th floor of a high-rise that's only a block and a half away from there. And when we come down there, I fly commercial drones, and so I always bring my binoculars. And so I'm sitting up there watching, looking through my binoculars, and we're there for several days, and I see a pattern develop in that. In the mornings, I see a big school bus pull up there, and he drops off a bunch of people, and he takes them in the evening. Also, there's also besides what you see on the TV, where it shows the protesters and some of the tents they have, the backside of that, there's also another area with tents, and there's cars parked over there. Nice cars. Anyway, so I know the rules on drones and all that and stuff because I do it commercially. And so I got up and I flew over near that area and I zoomed in and I got some pictures, which I could certainly send you. And it's pretty eye-opening. It shows these people that camp out. They come over there in their cars and everything. And we finally, I was walking by there. We were out riding our bikes and I walked by there and there was probably about 6 or 8 policemen out there, and they had the road blocked, and they had a couple cars blocked down there where the protesters were. And my wife knows that, I won't back away from a confrontation, but I use common sense. And so I was kind of walking on the other side of the street, and there was all these protesters come by me, and this is kind of funny what happened, but these guys are in all kinds of costumes, and they're dancing around this and that, and this one guy had a goat head, a white goat head with horns on it, and he comes walking across the street, and he walks over to me, and he looks at me, and he kind of cocks his head, and I said, okay, don't tell me. They're a goat head, not to be confused with a cocklebur. And if anybody lives in Idaho, they know that those are basically the same thing. And so it was kind of a funny moment, and the guy just kind of looked at me and I stood there for a second and just walked away. But the main point of this is that these guys a lot of them were bussed in. They were there. It was, and most of them did not have a clue what was really going on there. They're just kind of there. And it makes me wonder, I'm sure there's drugs in that area. That it's a nice area, but I tell you what, there was a small little business right by there where a guy was trying to open up a little coffee shop, and he literally had to close within a couple. It was kind of sad, about the size of a little Dutch Bros, and the place literally could not open up. It was called the Happy Camper, and the guy literally could not. He finally had to close it down, but it's a very eye-opening situation. And also, one last thing, there's a little fence that runs along there, but on the left side of where all the protesters were, and they had a chain link fence that ran along there, and they had all these little cut-out cardboard kids. They look like little kids, and they're all behind, don't keep our kids in jail fence and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so that's about it. I was sorry about rambling on about that, but I tell you what, it was kind of disgusting.
It was. Dan, we appreciated it. If you want to send me some photos and put a sentence that you'll
I
let
sure
me,
will.
and you authorize me to use them in a blog, I'll put them in a blog.
Sure.
Thank you.
I sure will. And so, is there how do I do that?
Just Kevin,
you
you can go to the website and contact us. You'll see my email.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds great. It'll be interesting.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank
Bye.
you. Appreciate the insight. More coming up next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And Cindy, hang on. We're going to get to you. I want to make sure we have time to hear what you have to say. Michael Doherty will join us from the Devil Inside the Beltway. Got a lot going on next hour, plus much more on Portland, police officers, driving safely. All that before Glenn Beck. Don't forget, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Your home for Fox News on the radio. Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, Lars Larson. We so appreciate you staying with us. Fox News Now.